Remember waking up before your parents, racing to the living room in your pajamas, bowl of cereal in hand, just to catch your favorite Saturday morning cartoons? For decades, this ritual defined childhood across America and beyond. It was a golden window of time, a few magical hours where the world felt perfect. But then, it vanished. Almost overnight, Saturday morning cartoons disappeared. No warning, no goodbye, just gone. Today, we're retaking a journey back in time to explore how and why Saturday morning cartoons faded into history.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
And the cultural impact they left behind. It all began in the 1960s when networks realized kids were an untapped audience. Shows like The Jetsons, Scooby-Doo, The Flintstones, and Johnny Quest didn't just entertain. They created appointment viewing for children. Every Saturday morning, TV networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC, would unleash back-to-back animated series for a solid 3 to 4 hours. It wasn't just a lineup, it was an event. A weekly holiday. Kids would memorize TV schedules like they were sacred scripts. No DVR, no streaming, no replays. If you missed it, you missed it. Cartoons back then were hand-drawn with love. Even if they reused animations or had cheesy sound effects, there was magic in the simplicity. By the 1980s, Saturday mornings exploded into full-blown pop culture phenomena. The animation improved. The stories became more adventurous, and most importantly, the toys. This was the golden age of He-Man, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Thundercats, and the real Ghostbusters. Cartoons weren't just entertainment, they were 30-minute commercials for toy lines. And it worked. Oh, it worked. Children would beg their parents for the latest action figure after seeing it on TV. Toy sales and cartoon ratings became deeply entwined, so much so that marketing was the show. And yet, we loved it. The colors, the catchphrases, the over-the-top villains. There was something wholesome and chaotic about it all. What many didn't know at the time was that these cartoons operated under strict broadcast rules, especially around advertising. After all, networks were essentially marketing directly to children. This led to growing concern from parents, educators, and watchdog groups. In 1990, the Children's Television Act was passed in the U.S., requiring networks to air a certain amount of educational, informational, EI, content per week and limited the amount of advertising allowed during children's programming. Cartoons had to adapt or face the chopping block. You started to see shows squeeze in life lessons at the end, like G.I. Joe's famous "Knowing is half the battle." But the writing was on the wall. By the late 1990s, cable TV was on the rise. Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Disney Channel provided cartoons 24/7, not just on Saturday mornings. Kids no longer had to wait for the weekend. Then came on-demand DVDs, DVRs, and, eventually, YouTube. Networks struggled to compete. Why watch 2 hours of cartoons between commercials when you could binge your favorite show anytime on demand? Saturday mornings became less special and more outdated. Networks started replacing cartoons with live-action teen sitcoms, educational shows, or even news programs to meet federal guidelines. And then came the final blow. In 2014, the CW, the last major U.S. network still airing Saturday morning cartoons, officially ended its block, replacing it with educational programming under a new name. And just like that, the era was over. A tradition that lasted over 50 years faded into memory. No headlines, no tributes, just silence. For millions of kids who grew up during the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was the end of a beloved ritual. A cultural heartbeat. A nostalgic treasure. It wasn't just about the shows, it was the experience. You'd grab your favorite cereal, maybe Cap'n Crunch, Fruity Pebbles, or Cheerios, and sprawl out on the floor in front of a glowing screen. You weren't just watching cartoons. You were making memories. There was no phone in your hand, no distractions, just you and the TV. Maybe a sibling, maybe a dog curled up nearby. Maybe you were trying to mimic your favorite hero's voice or draw their logo on a notebook. Saturday morning cartoons weren't just about the content. They were about comfort, ritual, and a shared cultural language we didn't even realize we were speaking. While we'll probably never see a return to traditional network cartoon blocks, Saturday morning cartoons live on, in a different form. Streaming services now offer entire cartoon libraries, and some are bringing back classic shows in remastered quality. Retro YouTube channels preserve those old intros, bumpers, and commercials, giving us little time machines. Parents today are introducing their kids to shows they loved growing up, passing the torch. So no, the tradition isn't gone. It's evolved. But for those who lived it firsthand, there was nothing quite like waking up to those cartoon theme songs, sugary cereal, and a morning full of adventure. If you remember those Saturday mornings like I do, the sounds, the smells, the excitement, you're not alone. It was more than a time slot. It was a feeling. Let me know in the comments. What was your favorite Saturday morning cartoon growing up? And if you enjoyed this walk down memory lane, consider subscribing to Way Back When, where we preserve stories from the past and the moments that made us who we are. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep the nostalgia alive.